Loud, man. Hear me right here? Let me know.
Hey, what's up, guys? Battleborn Media Networks. We are here at the first gubernatorial debate at, did I get that right? I think I did. At the Elko Convention Center for the Republican Party for the primary election. We have Joey Gilbert here, who is one of the candidates. So Joey, thank you so much for being here, and thank you for helping put this on and inviting, all of your opponents to come here and have great conversation. So what do you expect for tonight?
Look, man, this is just an opportunity for folks in Elko County and the surrounding counties to see, who their next governor could be. Get a look at them, see what their qualifications are, and I guess, get a feel for why they should or should not be their next governor. And I thought it was important to bring this to Elko County. The rurals are important, they're important to me. I'm a Northern Nevada guy, so I wanted to bring this up here, and I'm glad that everyone that did come, and I wish everyone would have known, but unfortunately there's a few that are missing. But hey, we're going to be here to answer your questions and to debate each other and present ideas and solutions. That's what I'm here for. There might be other stuff going on, but I'm here to give Elko a taste of what type of leader I would be and the solutions I would bring to the table on day one.
Well, Battleborn Media Networks is proud to be a part of this, and we thank everyone for supporting us. I made it a point to wear my Nevada fleece. So, Joey, good luck, and we look forward to some great content. Okay? All right, now we have another candidate, John Lee, correct?
It is.
John, very nice meeting you. Thanks for being here, and thanks for making the drive up to Elko and being here with us. What brought you to? What made you decide to come to Elko?
Well, first off, you want to governor. You don't want to be anywhere else but the bigger cities at the moment. You need a lot of smart people and get a value for your time. I actually come up here quite a bit. My son Casey worked for the Cortez mine here for quite a while for Eric. My other son-in-law worked for Eric also, and his father-in-law. So we have mining in our family. I've been up here. We have 9 of our kids been drinking in school up here. This is like a second home to me, and I'm glad to be up here today.
Okay, now I have to say, correct me if I'm wrong, your daughter, I believe I've met her.
Well, I had my son that worked at Eco Mine Dad married my daughter Summer. My son-in-law married my daughter. She had Silver State CPR, did a lot of work up here, and worked for the miners and stuff like that.
What about the Miss Nevada?
Miss Nevada, a lot of ladies.
That is how I met her, kind of by spur of the moment. I got a phone call when I had my radio show, and got a phone call, said, hey, can you do a quick interview we have Miss Nevada in town. She came in, we had a fun little interview, so that's kind of how I know her. So when I saw this, I was like, oh, I gotta tell them that story.
No, you do. I've got 7 children. They're all beautiful, they're all smart, and they're very excited about bringing back America the way it was before. I think the group you're going to see tonight is very upset at what's going on with America, very upset with this governor we have, and she's better days for better leadership.
Okay, well, we look forward to, we look forward to tonight, and thank you for coming on and coming up to Elko.
All right, see you there.
All right, now we have Dr. Simpson, correct? Simon, sorry, I'm sorry. Close.
Simon.
So, first of all, thank you for being here.
Hey, my pleasure.
Should be good. We appreciate you coming up to Elko and coming to the rural and being a part of this. What do you expect from tonight?
Oh, I just expect that the citizens here will ask some good questions. Ask things about rural America. They may, here we are in Elko, which has mining and agriculture and ranching, and I think they're going to be interested in education, healthcare, just all the different subjects that are problems in Nevada today in America.
Okay, well, we appreciate you coming, and again, we're looking forward to tonight and looking forward to some great conversation.
Well, I'm looking forward to it, to have fun. You got to have fun every day,
Yep,
right?
exactly. All right, well, we appreciate it.
My pleasure. Nice to meet you.
Thank you guys for watching Battleborn Media Networks.
Good evening. We thank you all for coming. The show's just about to start. Just a couple quick announcements before we do. First of all, welcome to both a great political debate and a historic event. The debate, as you know, is between invited GOP candidates for governor, and the historical event, 16 years ago, the Republican mayor of Nevada came to Elko and debated with his Democrat challenger. But in the 158 years of Nevada statehood, we've never had a Republican candidates for governor debate. So you're part of history, and it's being live streamed all around, so we thank you for being a part of this. Last thing I'd have to mention, not too long ago, in a nearby city that will remain unnamed, they had a debate. And it wasn't really, to me, respectful of the candidates who come from all over and prepare and work hard and put their lives on hold to run for office. And so tonight, the difference between a debate and a rally, as you know, Trump has rallies, and boy, they rock. A debate is we want to really learn all we can, because whoever ends up becoming our governor, it's going to impact every person in this room and your whole county. So we've got great questions from local moderators that have been working on this for weeks. And we just ask that when the candidates first come on, applaud the heck out of them. When we go to break at intermission, do the same. At the end of the show, absolutely. But at the last debate, the hooting, the booing, the rudeness was embarrassing to me. And so Elko has its act together. People all over the state are going to see what Elko's like, and I know they're going to be impressed. Okay. At this time, that's all I have to say. Nobody came here to hear me. So we've got one quick announcement from the president of the chairman, of the local GOP party in Elko County, and that's Lee Hoffman, and this is very important.
Thank you, Paul. As you all probably know, this is not an Elko County Republican Party event, but the Elko County Republican Party is always grateful to statewide candidates who will bother to come to northeastern Nevada. So thank you, Mr. Gilbert, Dr. Simon, and Mayor Lee for being here. For those of you in the audience, you are probably here because you're very interested in who's going to be the next governor of our state. Most of you, or at least many of you, are probably Republicans. But I want you all to remember that Nevada is a closed primary state. So if you're going to help us choose between these fine candidates, make sure you're registered Republican before the primary. And you need to do that by May 27th. Now, unfortunately, there have been some issues with DMV registration where people have had a license or something updated, and they have inadvertently had their registration changed from the party of their choice to nonpartisan. So I just encourage everybody to check your registration. It's easy to do on the Nevada Secretary of State website and get it corrected so you can help us choose our candidate to beat Sisolak. Thank you.
Okay, we're ready to start it off. And when I was thinking about how to start it off, I thought, well, no better way than to ask the three top leaders in your county and city to come do the honors. And instantly, all three of them said, you bet. So please welcome Elko County Sheriff Aitor Nervesa. Elko City Mayor Reese Feener. And Elko City Chief of Police, Ty Troughton.
All right. On behalf of a wonderful city, county of Elko, the state of Nevada, we'd like to thank you all for being here today. This is a very proud and historical moment. I believe this is the first one we've had since we've been here. So let's make Elko proud. With that, Mayor, let's start this thing going.
All right, thank you so much for that, Sheriff. Elko, welcome to the best show in town this evening, and hello, Nevada, to those of you tuning in from afar. I'd like to thank all of you for your interest in civic activities like we're experiencing this evening. I'd like to thank the candidates for having the guts to step up and put their name on statewide ballot. And also I'd like to thank the sponsors, and then also our panel of moderators that have donated a lot of their time for this evening. So I'm pleased to welcome fellow Mayor John Lee of North Las Vegas. Mayor Lee served in both houses of the Nevada legislature, and he was elected in 2012 to office of mayor of North Las Vegas and took over during a real financial crisis at that time. And then also Mayor Lee, when he's not politicking, he also owns and operates a plumbing contracting business. So please welcome Mayor John Lee.
Thank you, Mayor.
So first, welcome everyone, and I want to say a special thanks to the three candidates who did find their way out to Elko and recognize that we are part of the state of Nevada. Appreciate that. I also want to thank each one of you for being here, fulfilling part of your civic duty. We heard a lot about people's rights and freedoms, but those don't exist without people fulfilling their duty and making sure they perpetuate forever. So thank you for being here on that. Candidate Dr. Fred Simon is a lifelong medical doctor and trauma surgeon, good under pressure. He has also spent a great deal of time teaching other surgeons across our country. He is also a small business owner and a resident of Gardnerville, Nevada. Please welcome Dr. Fred Simon.
The next candidate, we all know from around here in Reno. It's a two-time champion boxer. He's also an attorney. He's an entrepreneur. He also sits on the medical, on the chief strategy for the Americans Frontline Doctors. So it's my pleasure to introduce Joy Gilbert. Come on up.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, Bishop Zach Gerber is going to be leading us in a prayer and an invocation. Please rise and remain standing after the prayer for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Our dear, kind, and loving Heavenly Father, we are grateful that we can be gathered here this evening. We're grateful for this wonderful country, state, and county that we reside in. We're grateful for all of the prosperity that we have, the many blessings that we have. We're especially grateful tonight for the divine influence that we've had on this country and preparing all the freedoms that we have. The freedom of conscience, the freedom to gather here today, the freedom of speech, the freedom of press. Father, we ask a blessing upon this country at this time. Bless the leaders, that they'll have a desire and the fortitude to stand up for these freedoms and to preserve them for us and our children and our children's children. We're grateful that we can meet here tonight for this debate. We're grateful for these candidates, that they're willing to spend their time and effort to go out of their way to prepare to lead this great state. We ask a blessing upon the voters and those that are here tonight. Bless them to feel a desire to look for candidates that can preserve the freedoms of our country and continue the great prosperity that we have here today. Father, we're grateful for all those that have gone before and that are serving now, that have given their lives, their fame, their fortunes for all that we have. And please help us to never forget them. We're most grateful for our Savior Jesus Christ, for his atoning sacrifice. And we ask a blessing upon us tonight. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Folks, please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance
Could you please give one more round of applause to Sheriff Narvaez, Mayor Keener, and Chief Troughton. And we're ready to start, so we're going to turn it over to our moderator panel, and the chair of that is, like I say, they're all Elko residents. Our chair is Misty Atkinson, and she's going to introduce, and away we go.
Thank you, candidates, for coming all the way to Elko tonight. We all appreciate that. My name is Misty Atkins. I've been an Elko resident since 2012. I'm the mother of 3 kids. I'm the treasurer for the Elko TV District Board, as well as the co-founder of Elko Parents of Elko County. I will give the mic over to the rest of the moderators for them to introduce themselves. Thank you again so much for being here.
Good evening, candidates. My name is Brent Kelly. I'm a father of 3. I've lived in Elko County for 5 years and look forward to hearing what you have to say. Thank you.
Hello, gentlemen. My name is Danny Story. I'm co-owner of Battleborn Media Networks, founder of Elko Adult Softball. Plus, I serve on several boards in the community where my main position or passions revolve around sports. I'm a married father of 3 and a papa of 4. I'm a native Oregonian, but raised my family as Nevadans, and most importantly, as proud Americans. I'm honored to sit before you guys today.
Good evening. My name is Robert Linhart, husband, father of 4, business owner, formerly on the Elko County School Board. Just want to say thank you guys. Appreciate your time coming to show that Elko that you actually care.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Candace Wines. I have lived in Elko County for 35 years. I worked in the mining industry as a geologist until I married a lifelong Nevada rancher. Our adult children are now the 5th generation to work the family ranch. I'm also a former school board trustee, and I want to thank you so much for coming to Elko to debate. We appreciate it.
So let's get started. Candidates, here are your guidelines for the debate. We will start with a 90-second opening statement from each of you. The content of that is up to you. Each of you will then get 2 minutes to answer every question. We will start with a different candidate with each question. After that, you will each get an opportunity for a 1-minute rebuttal or addendum if you choose. About halfway through the debate, there will be a 10-minute intermission. After the final question this evening, each candidate will get a 1-minute closing statement. The timer for tonight is right there. The moderator doing the timing will indicate when you have 30 seconds left in your response. A final reminder to the audience. This debate is not a rally. Please do not clap or yell every time the candidates speak. I know that will be difficult. It wastes questioning time and takes away from the ability to learn about more from these candidates. There will be plenty of time to show your appreciation for the candidates at intermission and at the end of the debate. And with that, we'll start with our first question. Many people have discovered the FLCCC treatment protocols and have gone through about the process of getting and filling prescriptions for hydroxychloroquine. Oh, I apologize. We're going to start with your opening statements. You'll each have 90 seconds. We'll start with Dr. Simon.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Dr. Fred Simon. I'm a medical doctor, trauma surgeon, intensivist, and a COVID expert. I am from Gardnerville, Nevada, Douglas County. I am a constitutional conservative, faith-based, and I am a rural county guy. And in fact, there are more cattle in Douglas County than there are Democrats. The pillars to my campaign has been healthcare, number one. We have a COVID crisis. I've worked in COVID ICUs. I've worked with a whole lot of experts around the country, bringing a number of them to Las Vegas on March 26th. Healthcare in the rural community has deficits of primary care doctors, and so we're going to bring more to the rural community. I've been really aggressive as far as education, and we can hear more about that, I'm sure, tonight. We need voter integrity, and we need verification by signature. And we need safe cities and strong police. So I appreciate very much being here, and it's a pleasure to actually answer questions to all you people of Elko. Thank you.
Mr. Lee, your 90 seconds.
Oh, push. Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here today. There, it slipped on the bottom. Thank you very much. My name is John Lee. I'm mayor of North Las Vegas, and I'm glad to be here today. I have an affinity for this beautiful part of the state. My son Casey worked for the Cortez mine. My son-in-law Thad worked at Nico. We have relatives here. I'm up here all the time. 9 of my children went to school here. So I have an affinity for you, and I'm glad to be here tonight. I'm also running for the same reasons he is, but I'll add a little bit more to it. Socialism is coming across this nation right now. It started in Washington, and now it's in Carson City. The Democratic Party elected 4 socialists to be the leaders of their party. Sisolak and the Democrats are beholden to what's happening in this country. Somebody such as me, who has been in the state legislature 14 years, who's been a small businessman for 35 years, and who understands what's going on in this world, knows that the future of this country now is in the hands of us, Joey. And if we don't do something about it, our children will never have the ability to be able to do and live the lives we have. I'm here to fight for you. I will be a great governor, and I'm looking forward to this debate tonight. Thank you very much.
Mr. Gilbert, your 90 seconds.
Thank you. Good evening, Elko. It's an honor to be here. I wanted to make sure that Elko got a chance to participate in what I think is the most important election of our lifetime coming up. As everyone has said, you know, the words thrown around lightly, constitutional conservative, kind of been talking points the last few years. And as a son of a Marine, my father's here tonight. Appreciate him for being here. Thank you, Father, for your service to our country, and thank you to all the veterans here. But for me, it's about actions speak louder than words. Actions speak louder than words. For the last 22 months, I've been fighting our corrupt governor every step of the way to get him out of our government, our pocketbook, our schools, our health care, and even our churches. And enough's enough. At the end of the day, it's time to stand and be counted. I've had enough. I know you guys have had enough too. At the end of the day, this man is ruining this state, and we need to select someone who's got the moral courage to make the tough decisions, who's not going to back down, who's going to protect our children, most importantly. Make sure these beautiful babies aren't wearing masks. Make sure they're not sitting at home, isolated for no reason because of some testing and other nonsense. And like I said, actions speak louder than words. I've proven over the last 22 months that I am not only going to get in the fight, I've been in the fight. And there's a lot of you out here, I'm seeing familiar faces that needed help when this whole COVID thing went down, and we answered the call. And I look forward to being your governor and fixing this mess on day one.
Thank you so much for your opening statements and giving a glimpse to us as to who you are. We'll go ahead and start with our first question. Even though you've already had a sneak peek, I apologize for that. Many people have discovered the FLCCC treatment protocols and gone about the process of getting and filling prescriptions for hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin. Since then, numerous pharmacists have begun refusing to fill these proven early intervention medications. How do you feel about those actions, and what will you do to guarantee access to life-saving early intervention and prophylactic treatments in Nevada?
We take that one at a time? Or?
We will start with Dr. Simon, and you'll each have 2 minutes to answer.
First of all, this is now a disease of undertreatment. So we are not getting treated appropriately. I am actually bringing Richard Urso from Houston, one of the most world-renowned in therapeutics. On day one, there will be therapeutics available to Nevadans over the counter. You discuss it with the pharmacist, you go home. These are safe drugs. Hydroxychloroquine has been in lupus patients for decades. And the individual who has treated most lupus patients at Cedars-Sinai has had no deaths. Ivermectin, 4 billion doses has been given over the world. There have been no real major side effects. These are very safe. What's going on? There is an evil connection now through Obamacare between the government and hospitals. You cannot trust your hospitals anymore. There's cancel culture. Physicians are afraid to go out there and represent their patients like they used to. It's a combination of fear and lack of character. I've lost privileges at multiple hospitals. I'm not vaccinated, and I beat to the drum of my patients. These are very, very important, inexpensive medications. The reason we're not getting them, Biopharma is the largest donor to government and to campaigns. So fundamentally, what we're dealing with here is big money, and nobody cares about us as Americans. And it's absolute that we have therapeutics available to all Americans. They're safe, they're inexpensive, and that will happen in the first week that I am governor, having a medical license in Nevada, and can do it immediately. Thanks.
Mr. Lee, would you like the question repeated?
I will let you know that Dr. Simon is an expert in his category. People such as me in business surround ourselves with experts such as him. And I think being trained in the healing arts gives him an advantage in this conversation. But I will take it to my point, though, as elected governor, I'm hoping the mask will be gone by the time I'm elected governor, but if not, I will refuse to continue to do these stupid executive orders from the governor's office. I can tell you right now that a lot of people, we're talking about the sicknesses that are going on, the COVIDs and stuff. A lot of people want to take the shot. I'm for that if that's what they want to do. A lot of people don't want to take any vaccinations or anything for it. That's fine with me too. I have no desire to make anybody put anything in their body that would maybe affect them negatively. I look at some of these shots and I wonder, you look at it, you don't know if it's battery acid or not. I mean, you don't really know what's in there, you know? And so my family and I have decided that we would make the decision that we would not take the shot for the benefit of our future. We're 66 years old now. We don't feel like this is a very smart thing to put into our bodies. The masks are ridiculous, and I'm looking forward to seeing hopefully this thing will go away before we're elected governor. But if it's not, you can count on John Lee to get business back in order like it is in Idaho, like it is in Utah, like it is everywhere else, but in the state of Nevada with this governor. He's beholding to the big pharma people. He's raising a lot of money. His job is to make sure he stays in office any way he can and raise the money he can to stay there. So I appreciate that question. It's very important, but Dr. Simon is very wise in this issue.
Mr. Gilbert?
Yes, well, you're speaking about the frontline critical care protocol, something I know very well about. Dr. Urso is a member of America's Frontline Doctors, and
8 doctors with America's Frontline Doctors received Nobel Peace Prizes for their work during COVID. And I'll just say this, on day one, it's all over. Day one, every mandate, every bit of this nonsense is gone. And I'll tell you this, you want to get the vaccine, that's your choice. This is America, freedom of choice. You want it, you have it. But also on day one, it's not just referred to as, ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine. It's called multifaceted, multi-drug therapy. Look up Pete Cullen. You can look up, obviously, Dr. Urso, Dr. Zelenko. These are friends of mine. These are colleagues of mine. And I would easily say, as Director of Strategy with Frontline Doctors, these should be made available to everyone at any time. Just like if you want to get the vaccine, you can go get it. Well, you should be able to pick yourself up your hydroxychloroquine, your ivermectin, budesonide, whatever you need that could help you. But here, let's take it a step further. Throughout this entire insanity, when did they come out and talk to you about your health, about your nutrition, about making sure that our seniors had the proper diet, that their immune systems were being built up? We knew by July that these lockdowns didn't work, and we kept doing them. They say insanity, and I think stupidity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So the masks are gone, the mandates are gone, the vaccines mandatory are gone, and I would definitely want to make sure you have informed consent before you get that vaccine, because it's not a vaccine, it's a gene therapy, it's not necessary, and at best, it's a treatment modality, if that. So Joey Gilbert's office and his administration on day one ends all the nonsense and makes multi-drug therapy available, as well as things like your nutrition, vitamin D, vitamin C, zinc, and protects our seniors, because we knew who to protect and how to protect them. We just didn't do it.
I'm going to have to ask the audience to please hold your applause. It's going to be taking up valuable time, and we'd really like to get through all of these questions. At this point, we would now like to offer a 1-minute rebuttal. We'll start with Dr. Simon.
What everybody needs to know is, in a governor's office, whatever the issue is, there needs to be thorough, comprehensive information to each citizen. So before I'm going to sit here and say you should have an option to take the vaccine, you should know everything about it before you take the vaccine. And as a medical physician in this particular realm, I've already got people who are nationally known who will sit on a board for me. I belong to the American Association of Physicians and Surgeons, been there from 1943, with Rand Paul, Urso, McCullough's been with us talking to things. What we need to do is inform the public before you make a choice, because some of you who may think you should take the vaccine should not. So my point here is you will get great information out of a Simon governor administration.
Thank you. Mr. Lee?
Did I come on now? Yeah, there we are. One of the great attributes about being a great leader is being able to surround yourself with very successful, intelligent people. The other thing is to be able to take that advice and apply it. There's been many times in my life as I fixed North Las Vegas, we were so far in debt that I brought in some brilliant people. If I'm sitting at a table with some of the smartest people I know and I surround myself with them, if there's 5 of us and 3 of us say, that's a good idea, and 2 of us say don't, then it's my job to make sure that we do what the smartest people at the table say. As your governor, I will surround us with the smartest people at that time, considering what's going on with this healthcare issue, and I promise you that we will make that decision, and then we will also get that decision out to you guys as what we've figured out. But things are changing on these viruses. Things are going to continue to change. I'm looking forward to surrounding myself with brilliant people to help me make those decisions for your benefit.
Mr. Gilbert?
Guys, one thing I think we all kind of dodged was the most important part of the question is, what are we going to do about these pharmacists that aren't filling prescriptions? And people don't realize this, but pharmacists do not have a license to practice medicine. That is illegal for what they're doing. And what Steve Sisolak did by banning hydroxychloroquine, first of all, if anybody's seen Steve Sisolak, this guy's not smart enough to ban hydroxychloroquine. So someone told him to do it, right? So at the end of the day, we're going to enforce the law. These pharmacists that are not complying with valid doctor's orders, Dr. Simon calls in a prescription, they don't fill it, that's illegal. My father calls in a prescription, they're not going to fill it, that's illegal.
So we're going to hold these guys to account. America's Frontline Doctors is about to launch a lawsuit against all chain pharmacies for this nonsense. So most importantly, we're going to make sure that pharmacies, boards of pharmacy, don't practice medicine because that's not their job. And surrounding ourselves with experts, that's my specialty. Thank you.
Gentlemen, per the 10th Amendment, the powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively, or to the people. The paradigm has been flipped, and people have been fooled into thinking that we need the government's permission to do just about anything, when quite the opposite is true. What is your plan to get big government out of the state and return the power to we the people?
We'll start with Mr. Lee.
Thing keep flipping off. Hello, Joey, I'm sorry. Okay. It turns itself off, but I'll turn it back on. No, yeah, I don't touch it. Okay. Hey, thank you very much. You know, the Bill of Rights and the Constitution. Oh boy. Hello, we there? Joey, I think I got it. I don't want to hurt you, though. Okay. Thank you very much. The Bill of Rights and I'm getting more time, I hope. The Bill of Rights and the Constitution are what makes us the most exciting place in the world for everyone in the world that wants to come here. States' rights are preserved for the rights of the residents of the state of Nevada. And as we fought hard to make sure that we didn't get nuclear waste in this state, we need to continue to fight the government agencies that are trying to take over. What they do is they give you funds, and then they will start withdrawing things if you don't start doing what they say you do. In Nevada, we have the right to petition Congress. We have the right to I'll give you an example. Why aren't we fixing these wild horse issues that we have in this area? You know, we've got people in Congress that are elected to go there. They're not doing the job. We need to have a governor go there and talk to the Interior Department. You're spending $1 billion a year on these wild horses. Let's do something with our government that states also now have the right to participate in the decisions. I'm looking forward right now to being a governor that will go to Washington. I have went to Washington. I have won in Washington before. I was able to get 3,000 acres from the BLM. I was able to get $49 million from the Southern Nevada Public Lands Act. We were able to build one of the finest shooting ranges in the nation in Clark County. And because of that, I got NRA Legislator of the Year nationwide by going to Washington and telling them those Nevada lands are our lands. We need them for public use. Give us back our freedom of deciding what we want to do with our property. This governor will go to Washington, and he will do a good job at fighting for the issues that we need to protect Nevada with. Thank you very much.
Mr. Gilbert?
What, can you repeat the question?
Repeat the question.
Okay, per the 10th Amendment, the powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states, respectively, or to the people. The paradigm has been flipped, and people have been fooled into thinking that we need the government's permission to do just about anything, when quite the opposite is true. What is your plan to get big government out of our state and return power to we the people?
Well, thank you. That's probably never more an important question than we're seeing right now with incredible government overreach into our states. Our founding fathers were brilliant when they set up things the way they set it up, where they set up our Constitution. And they even did it as uniquely as to make sure that counties were independent from the states. The county and the county sheriff are the most powerful people in this state. And it's not the governor. The governor doesn't have the authority he thinks he has. He never had the power to do these mandates. Mandates aren't laws. So that's number one. Number two, same thing applies to Joe Biden, who's been losing just about every fight he puts up. You know, at the end of the day, you can't mandate anything to the American people, let alone American businesses. The president's Article 2 powers do not allow for that. And it's time for counties and for states to stand up. And as your governor, no one will bring it at the federal government like I will. No one will demand autonomy again and to get these people out of our state. And there's much more than that. There's our land issues. We have, 88%, 87, 88% of our land is BLM land, and we need to transfer some of that. You know, we need to bring it back into the private sector. We need to bring it over so we can start putting it on the tax rolls, making money off it. But don't get worried, my hunters, my Second Amendment guys. We're going to make sure the high hunting spots, okay, places that we're using for recreation are carved out, and they're protected, and no fences. So I know my issues. I know what needs to happen, and we need to step up and take our state back, because the federal government, like we've just said, has far, far exceeded their role that was set forth by our founding fathers. And again, you need a strong governor that'll fight every day to make sure that the government, the U.S. government, stays out of our way, and we do things here at the local level, especially here in Elko County. Thank you.
Dr. Simon?
First and foremost, everybody needs to understand the powers at the local level. I'm an anti-federalist, and I'm pretty much an anti-state government person. Power is at the local level, but you have to elect people. So we are in a republic with a democracy where we elect people to positions. When the local level is very strong, the governor becomes stronger. But we have to look at what's happened. We've had people like Soros, Bill Gates, pummeling lots of money. They have taken over the school boards all over the United States. We, as constitutional conservatives, must live by that and push back. It's not as easy as some of the thoughts by these gentlemen. We have a number of years to go to change the school boards, change mayors. We need power at the local level. That's where the governor can help. We need help by our Republican Party. We've had a lot of people just sitting around and letting the Democrats push forward. We have a legislature that's Democratic. So you have to take all this into consideration. We need to elect senators who can push back federally. It's not just the governor. So our job as citizens is to go out and find good candidates and put them at the local level all the way up. And I can tell you that each and every issue in assignment administration will be taken incredibly seriously, and what we need is a relentless, self-contained human being who will not be pushed around by ideology. It's America. It's our freedom. It's our country, and we need to take it back through the ballot box.
We have time for a 1-minute rebuttal. We'll start with Mr. Lee. Would you like a rebuttal? No, I'm fine. Mr. Gilbert?
Thank you. One thing I think it's important to bring up about the local level and about school boards. You know, for example, let's take what Sisolak said. Sisolak said he didn't care about rural Nevada because they didn't vote for him anyway. That's why he went after net proceeds in Lander County, Eureka. He wanted those net proceeds, and when you start doing stuff like that, taken from these mining counties, they don't have enough to keep their communities alive and thriving. One of the problems I've noticed in my discussions with folks is the issues with permitting. For the mines, for ag, need to be streamlined. BLM, you know, whatever it is, we need more efficiency, because if we stifle or suffocate our counties, our rural counties, there's nothing else for them to turn to. 98% of the income's coming from the mines, and a small percent from agricultural, and then from government. So we need to do a better job there. And the school boards, very simple. The teachers' unions either get on board with the teachers, or we decertify those suckers.
Any more rebuttals on that question, Dr. Simon?
Sure. So when the initial question was about the 10th Amendment, and I thought we would come around to this, the 10th Amendment is states' rights. If you look at what the federal government is allowed to do, it's interstate commerce, protect the nation from foreign powers, and deal with some monetary issues. All the rest of it falls to the states. So it's very important for us to be constitutional conservatives and push back, and we can get what we want. So we need to know the history, we need to know the law, we need to know the Constitution, and we can get not only what we want as a state at the local level, we can start working on getting our land back. So we got to look at specifics. Was it used as agriculture in the past? If BLM land was used for agriculture, we can take it back. That's something a governor needs to be aggressively looking at, as how much land can we get back that the federal government took from us.
High school sports often give student athletes the opportunity to pursue secondary education, whereas they may not have been able to do without. Over the past 22 months, kids have been robbed of athletics while our neighbors have continued to compete. In politics, there's pay to play, but within our school districts, our students are facing tests to play. The NIAA is forcing our healthy athletes to test weekly or more frequently in order to play sports within the schools. These tests come with potentially deadly exposure to ethylene oxide, a known carcinogenic compound, which is used to sterilize the swabs for the test. What will you do to stop the practice and allow our kids to participate in school sports so Nevada can continue to produce top-notch student athletes?
Mr. Gilbert, we'll start with you.
You know, guys, let me just say this. I got in this thing because of these kids. I don't want to get emotional here, but as a father of an 11-year-old daughter, seeing these kids get sent home on this distance learning nonsense and get crushed was absolutely disgusting. They stole their youth. They stole the American dream from our beautiful children. And they sent these kids home. And when I say they got crushed, 90% failed. 90%, but they still got past. They still were sent on to the next level. With regards to sports, as a fellow student athlete myself, I am where I'm at today because of boxing. And I don't mean to correct the sheriff, but I was a 3-time national champ, a 4-time All-American. I had the WBO, NABO belt, and the WBC, USNBC belt. I was ranked number 3 in the world, and that's something I'm very proud of. But let me say this. For our student athletes, there are kids that needed that sophomore, junior, or senior year of hooping, or ball, or football, or wrestling to get to that next level, to get out of the ghetto, to get to that D1, D2, or even a community college school. But they didn't get there. They didn't get there. We're the only state in the union, even Hawaii, got basketball. Why? Different virus? No. Nonsense. And right now, Florida has been open since August 2020. Full in-school learning, full sports. No testing, none of it. Right next door in Arizona, Utah, Idaho. Different virus? All I will say is this. This stuff ends on day one. What will I do? I'll make sure that any future governor is restrained from pulling this nonsense. This is the power to the people. Parents make the decisions for their children's health and for their children's curriculum, not bureaucrats. So we will hand the power back to the parents, and we'll end this testing immediately, and we'll never subject them to that again. And again, we will ban it. We'll forbid it from ever happening again.
I think I'll add. Okay. I think I'll add just a little.
Dr. Simon's turn to answer.
Are you taking my time,
I
John?
don't know. I'm just wondering how we're going.
Would you like to sit here? This is a real easy question. On day one, there's no mandates for masks and vaccines. Now, I have testified at 15 different school boards. I brought 10 papers 5 or 6 times for masks. They provided no data. My campaign is about information and data on every issue. There is no data to support masks. And if you notice this week, England's not going to require masks anymore. The data on the vaccines is not there. So this is a very simple question and answer. There will not be any mask or vaccine mandates on day one. Now, one thing that hasn't been said here, this virus will be around and part of us forever. It mutates, it's unstable, and you need people within your state government to be aware and watching this. The Omicron is a blessing as long as we don't vaccinate our children. If we vaccinate our children, we will never get herd immunity. So it's very important that you have a governor, especially with this issue, who knows the microbiology, the pathophysiology, how to treat it, what to do. But as far as masks for athletes, they're not going to have to do it. They're going to be able to participate just the way they want. We actually want our children to get a little bit of exposed. That's how every single infectious disease has been handled through the history of this country. But we have an evil dictator at the NIH who someday should be hung here in Elko because he actually has murdered many human beings around the world. This is evilness, and we'll take care of it the right way.
Mr. Lee?
Thank you. These gentlemen are making great points. I want to go a step further for this, just so you know. The Elko County School District is not responsible for what's happening in your county. There's nobody in the county commission that can tell the school board or the school teachers what to do. The way the system works right now is you elect a legislature. Things happen at the legislature. They go to different committees, the education committee, everything moves forward. Teachers come up, principals come up, staff come up. They all ask for a raise, and by the way, a couple bucks for the kids, you know. So then it gets passed by both houses, and it moves up to the governor's office. Now, this is where the power is in this state right now. The governor has the right then to sign that bill into order. If he doesn't want to sign it, he can wait 5 days and it'll naturally become an order, or he can veto it. So all the dollars that Elko makes here that goes into the state budget and then goes into the school board, the school accounts, goes through the governor's budget process. So if you want to blame anybody what's going on with the school board, you really need to blame the governor, because when he signs those bills, he effectively is now taking control, and now he's supposed to do the effective work of what the legislator asked him to do. Legislature. He has someone underneath him called the state superintendent, school board superintendent, and she is supposed to then make sure things are happening and monitoring it. They have a state school board trustees too. None of those people are accountable or do anything to help Elko County. They're just non-existent. They're not even following the mandates. If your legislator went up there and passed a bill and got it passed, they're not even making sure it happens here. This is not the Elko County School District. This is the Steve Sisolak School District. He's responsible for the mess we're in.
Any rebuttals? Mr. Gilbert?
Yeah. Just very briefly on the testing. Per our CDC, our children are at a statistical 0 chance of death. They also found in a 10 million person study in Wuhan, China, the asymptomatic spread is a myth. This entire thing has been a bunch of nonsense. Our children, our healthy children, should not be tested. At the end of the day, that is something that needs to be understood. Furthermore, the governor cannot attach special conditions to a federal funding source that came with no such conditions. That is something we all know, and for the counties that pushed it, they saw that there was nothing that happened in return. They might have gotten a strongly worded letter from AG Ford, but that was it. They could never control that money, that CARES Act money, and I would have fought tooth and nail for it if I was here in this county, and I would encourage you all to do the same. John Lee is absolutely right. It's 100% Steve Sisolak's fault, but I believe our counties need to stand up and fight for our children.
Dr. Simon, rebuttal?
So what we need to recognize is that the monies for education were taken out of the counties, and the governor has controlled all the money. So this is anti-local level behavior. The money needs to go back to the counties. But when we look at this, and we're talking about local school boards, this was extortion of power by the governor, intimidating school boards to do things that were unethical. Now think about that, though. We're in a very tenuous time in America. School boards need to stand up to this, no matter whether it's about money or not. We must stand up to all of this pressure. Some of the school boards stood up to it, and some didn't. We have to hold each other accountable to stand up to Marxism and tyranny, and that's what we're into right now.
No, you didn't want a rebuttal, Mr. Lee?
Oh, I'm just making sure I'm in order, you know.
As a former school board member that was forced to resign by the corrupt good old boys, what will you do as governor to protect elected officials that are standing for what's right and hold corrupt elected officials accountable when our state and local officials take no action?
Dr. Simon?
Well, first and foremost, it's illegal to intimidate and harass. anybody in the workplace. Therefore, we're going to have a powerful AG. We can recognize it, but we got to prosecute. Part of the problem we've had in the state is we've had people who are unwilling to do their job. So first and foremost, nobody's going to be intimidated, nobody's going to be harassed, and nobody's going to be put under duress. This is the same thing that's been happening with vaccines. There is no consent. And people at the state level, municipal level, county level who are being pushed to take the vaccine, they're doing it without informed consent. It's under duress. This is harassment. So this goes forward throughout the entire state of Nevada in so many different ways. As governor, I will not tolerate any of that. We have to be respectful to each other. It's people's bodies when it comes to vaccines. And the workplace, whether you're an elected official at the school board or whether you're somebody at work, you are not going to be harassed and put under duress. It's that simple. We follow the law, we will prosecute those people, and if they're at a higher level, such as a superintendent, working and intimidating school board members, then we need to replace those people. Actually, the school board controls the superintendents. They hire and fire them. They handle the monetary policy, and you handle the curriculum. And school boards need to understand what their power is and push back. And if a governor doesn't support that, then we have to have an AG that will prosecute even the governor for harassing and causing duress.
Mr. Lee?
I'm going to take another shot at this a different way. The only way you can remove a school board trustee is by a vote of the people who voted them in. So it'd be like your wonderful Mayor Maurice there. The governor could be mad at him, but it's you that'll make that decision who represents you. I don't know how much intimidation takes place at those levels. I do know that there is no value to intimidating people who you have no control over, especially when you have 7 to 9 of them on a board. But I will say, if it does happen, it's happening under this administration. I think the thing that we need to do is to realize that in Clark County, there are 300,000 plus students. Our school districts are way too big. We need to get something like what you have here, where you have a little bit more control, you have a little bit more of an understanding who the leadership is. I think the school board trustees in Clark County, I don't know, I mean, I've run very, very successful businesses. I don't know that I'm qualified even to run the Clark County School District. You need to have professional people who are trustees, who are on those boards, who are smart enough to figure out what they can do with the money they get and how to do it, because it seems like a lot of superintendents run right over the top of the school board trustees, and when I say that with information, because they are so much brighter, but I will tell you this, that the school board trustees and the regents and those, I think as governor, I will do what I can to make sure we put some qualifications in there, or there's some appointments, and maybe there's some vote by the people. But the system we have in Clark County is broken, and it needs to be fixed. I'm hoping yours is working better than ours is.
Mr. Gilbert?
Thank you. You know, with regards to that particular question, I'm intimately, aware of what took place up here, and I believe my colleague, Mr. Lee, said it best. This is 100% Steve Sisolak. At the end of the day, the buck stops with him. He's the one that created all this nonsense. He's the one that started all the games and was pressuring good folks through other people that never would have experienced this before, and that has to stop. And I'll just say this. As a business owner, as a successful entrepreneur, when there's bad apples, you get rid of them. You get rid of them. They don't stay around anymore. And again, school board members have to be voted in. But these folks that came up to put pressure on you guys, these guys that were coming up saying they were playing your attorney in one hand, and the other hand they were playing you against each other, that stuff has no place in America and no place in our counties. And so, as I just said, this comes down to Governor Sisolak, not only his lack of leadership, but he was a bully. He was a bully. He was a tyrant and a bully. And I got an old-fashioned, solution for a bully like that. You punch him in the mouth. All right. So, to do things right for the county is we have to take a hard look, and we'll do this together. We'll have a board meeting. We'll put a committee together, and we'll take a look at what went wrong. And we'll find out who didn't do their job or who did things like, put pressure and harassed and threatened and things that are, if I remember correctly, not only do they put your personal, lives at stake and your businesses and your finances and your kids, but it has no place in this country. And so I, as your governor, I will find out who those people are, and they're out. They're out. No more turn for them. No more public service. They broke the people's trust. And again, I'm accountable to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ and we the people. And that's who I'm going to serve. So they're out.
Rebuttal, Dr. Simon?
Sure. I'd like to agree to disagree. I don't agree it's all Steve Sisolak's fault. And I'll give you, my wife has been on the school board for 8 years. She was president for 3. This has been going on for years. Let's not just be focal here. Unions intimidate teachers. Unions intimidate superintendents. We've had a huge problem in education for decades. This isn't just the Sisolak administration. And if we're that narrow-minded to look at it from that standpoint, we're not going to fix the problem. Intimidation has existed at school boards, teachers, even students. We need a complete overhaul of the education system. We're 50th out of 50 in this nation. We spend $5 billion in education and we don't get better. Money doesn't fix it. This needs to be a thoughtful, comprehensive review of all education in this state.
Mr. Gilbert? Mr. Gilbert?
If I could just say that this was a question directed at what took place in this county. And in this county, it directly came as an order from Steve Sisolak to his education partners and to the teachers union. As I've already said, the teachers union, now there's less than 50% of the teachers in Nevada in this union. So the teachers union needs to either get behind our teachers and come on board, or we need to decertify them. Because enough of their games and their power-hungry nonsense. So I agree 100% with Dr. Simon that this is something that's been systemic across this country. But what took place in this state and what took place in this county flowed directly from Steve Sisolak and his AG. He put it in motion. I went down that rabbit hole, and what he did was absolutely unconstitutional and illegal.
Mr. Lee?
I'll be honest with you, I have not heard of this situation in Elko County. I've just been reminded that bad things are happening to you here, and I agree with these men completely that if that was happening to you, shame on them and more power to you. Thank you very much.
How will you ensure that growth in the state will not outpace the supply of water, considering the fact that Nevada is the driest state in the nation? If elected, how will you protect the first-in-time, first-in-right water laws, as well as protect the rights of landowners from future attempts to take their water in rural Nevada?
Mr. Lee?
That'd be fine. I do know from my many years in Southern Nevada, the large pipeline that was being envisioned that would happen from the north to the south. I recently was on the Southern Nevada Water Authority Board. That is gone. All lawsuits finished. We're not protesting. It's not going to happen anymore. You can rest assured that your fight did well. You enlisted some very smart people, and you stood up for yourself. But I do want you to know there's things happening in the state with the state water engineer that don't always happen in your area. I understand right now a mine closed in this area because they can't dewater fast enough. There's so much water. There's other parts of the state like Reno that just can't find enough water for what they want to do. So the state water engineer and his boss at Conservation Department now are trying to see what they can do with some of these other senior water rights and start moving them away from agriculture and moving them towards manufacturing and housing and stuff like that. So the ranchers and farmers in that part of the state, the western part of the state, are very, very concerned about what's going on in Carson City right now with the leadership there. I would tell you right now that water is, I was a plumbing contractor. I understand and value water and good, clean water. We are doing things in Southern Nevada right now. We are the most conservative state in the whole Water River system right now. I just came back from Dubai a little while ago. I wanted to go see that. There was 32 desalination plants there. They've got it figured out. We can't seem to get California to do anything. Our water is dwindling. We're not even using our allotment in southern Nevada yet. We're pumping in and storing water in Arizona. We're not even taking out what the allotment is in Clark County. We have done more for water conservation there than anybody else on the whole system. I'm very proud of what we've been able to do, but I will tell you, water is the issue in Nevada, and as your governor, I will make sure that the small guy isn't going to get beat up for his water rights. Thank you very much.
Mr. Gilbert?
Yes, thank you. First and foremost, there's a lot happening. You know, California has consistently taken 7 times their allotment from Nevada. And Steve Sisolak's been piecemealing up this state, selling it to his cronies and highest bidders. And one of the first things I would do is make sure that California doesn't take more water than they're entitled to, especially from our state. Next, as you know, my colleague Mr. Lee just said, you know, places like in Israel have got their, you know, their stuff together, and desalination plants are a huge opportunity where if we could work together with California, and maybe someone needs to bring Gavin Newsom into the bunker up here and have a little word with him. But bottom line is, you know, California has to be told no. We have to do more with our water here. And there's things, you know, when you talk about water, you can't talk about water without talking about power. You know, Nevada imports, you know, 70% of our power comes from natural gas, which we buy. The other 30% is renewable technologies. What happens if these other states around us stop selling us gas or don't want to sell us gas? So we need to think bigger, and one of the things that I've really looked into are these modular nuclear power plants, which are clean energy. And I know if Mayor Lee was over in Dubai, then he knows exactly what I'm talking about. And these things, we could power these desalination plants, we could pump water back here. There is a lot that can be done. And you know, Sisolak, our esteemed governor, his solution is to kill lawns in Las Vegas. You can't have a lawn in Las Vegas by 2026, and for that he'll save 1% on water. So we need to think differently. We need to protect our valuable resources. There's things we could do to irrigate a little more efficiently. But again, let's not be silly. There's, you know, been a 12-year lawsuit from Pershing County on domestic wells. So there's a lot of stuff we have to do, and I would sit down with our legislature and with our leaders and figure out a solution for this. But it's something that would be at the top of the list, because Nevada cannot grow if we don't address our water issues.
Dr. Simon?
Well, I stated 2 weeks ago at a debate, we need to stop developing. We need to take care of our state and the citizens who exist here now. We're a desert state. We have a low water table. We know we have a water issue. No water should ever be sold out of Nevada, number one. Number two, the stakeholders and the state law need to connect. The stakeholders who have the water now, there should be no change in how it's done. We have also issues with our Native American folks in different parts of the state where they try and keep control of water off the reservation, and we have to look at those different issues. Is if the use of the water is not appropriately being used, then we have to look at what's in the best interest of our state from ranching and agriculture. We should never compromise our state from ranching and agriculture. But development is a huge problem. You have a senator who wants to take 1 million acres from here so that they can build 850,000 units down in Las Vegas. That's insanity. We bring in an industrial group of people into Reno. We not only have a housing issue, we have a water issue. We cannot grow at this pace. We need a comprehensive group of people to get together and look at our state from development, water, energy, power. It's a thoughtful process. But no, we stop growth now. I will not get $1 in this campaign from any of the developers, and I don't give a damn. So that's what we need to do.
Mr. Lee?
Thank you very much. I'm not really a no-growth guy. I'm the guy that says I want my children to live around me someday, that if we go to a whole just pro-no growth, you can imagine exporting your children out of this area. It won't be a very good place to live after a while. We'll all be 90 years old, and there'll be no future behind us. We have to have growth. We have to plan, like I will say what Fred said, proper growth, and do those things. But if we don't diversify our economy in Southern Nevada and in Reno and those areas, we are going to just be gone. We can't stay with gaming, tourism, and hospitality anymore. And the next time an airplane hits a building in New York, next time something happens like a pandemic, what happens is the people in those industries lose their jobs. And if both of them are in that job, they're both going to lose their houses. We need to make sure that we plan growth properly with the water assets that we have. And I believe that that's the way we move to the future.
Mr. Gilbert?
Just a brief rebuttal would be that, you know, we also have to do things, we don't want to stifle growth. We want people to especially come to our rural counties. You know, we need growth. We have people here whose kids have to leave because there's not opportunities here. So diversification and what we bring into this state is important. And one of the things you constantly hear is, you know, I hear is, Joey, so what would you do to bring other businesses in here? And I'll just throw this back to saying, if we don't fix our schools, you know, first thing businesses look at is, what does the school system look like? So what am I going to promise businesses? You know, the least educated workforce in the nation if they come here? So we can't do that. But at the same time, we can't be like our bonehead governor, give $5 million away for a vaccine lottery. Why don't we use that to incentivize, you know, doctors and people like that to move to our rural counties and incentivize them to come and help us build a better community? And again, it all comes down to resource management, putting a team of experts together and figuring this out, and that's exactly what we'll do.
Dr. Simon?
So let me be clear. I'm not anti-growth. I'm anti-growth in 2022, 2023, maybe 2024, until we solve our problems now. I believe in a diversified economy, but why don't we optimize what we have? Can't we increase our mining? Can't we optimize our agriculture and ranching? Don't you need a meat plant here and get the FDA and the USDA to approve so we can have local sales? We have not optimized our businesses in this state, and we don't have enough employees to work in the businesses we have. We need to support the small business in this state now. Small business people throughout the state are suffering significantly. So you're going to bring in more competition at that point in time? Doesn't make any logical sense. Let's take care of the Nevadans who live in Nevada now and look at growth in the future.
With that, we'll take a 10-minute intermission. Okay. Thank you, guys. I hope everybody had a chance to go to the bathroom and get something to drink. We will resume where we left off. This question will start with Joey. Crime is on the rise at an alarming rate, largely due to what amounts to catch and release pursuant to the Jimenez hearings. How will you go about giving magistrates and judges the latitude to keep offenders in custody or give them a higher bail to prevent these offenders from habitually committing crimes in our communities? Joey?
Thank you. Well, that is absolutely one of the main concerns we're seeing across this state, but no more importantly than in Las Vegas, where crime has exploded. We have 2 times the national crime rate for property crime, for violent crime, 30% increase in carjackings. And so what we need to do is we need to reform these laws. We also need to make sure that we allow our officers to do their jobs, take the handcuffs off our police, and enforce the law. This no bail hold nonsense, as we've already seen, does not work. If you break things, if you hurt people, if you do harm to our community, you need to sit down and need to be in jail for a little bit. So this catch and release nonsense needs to end. The same thing applies with immigration. You know, I am not an anti-immigration person at all, but when people are in this country that are bad people and they're harming our community, they're harming our fellow citizens, we have to cooperate with our federal authorities. ICE has to be brought in, they need to be deported, they need to be removed, and we have to focus on those criminal elements. You know, there's a lot of good people here that, again, I'm not going to get into, amnesty and, making people citizens, but legal status is something that needs to be looked at. But those that are here illegally breaking the law and, committing crimes need to be detained and removed. It's that simple. This is not a sanctuary state. We will never be a sanctuary state or a sanctuary city, and we're going to have to reform those laws. And our current AG brags about the bail reform that he's done. So with a strong AG partner, which I think I'll have in Segal, Chada, as you guys probably remember, Segal helped me get the churches open. We're going to need to focus and drill down. And again, this is not something I can unilaterally do. I'll have to do this with the legislature's help and with some tough-minded folks that can get together with me. But at the end of the day, our sheriffs and our police chiefs need to enforce the law, stop with the political judges and the political city councils, and if these people break the law, they need to stay in.
Dr. Lee?
Dr. Lee.
Dr. Simon.
I'm going to give him a certificate after we're done because, John is becoming a doctor as long as he sits up here and listens to me. So, again, it's very important we start looking at the ballot box. George Soros and the progressives have a lot of influence on this country and this state. So if your DAs are liberal, they're not going to follow the law. Okay? And if we take away power from our sheriffs and the police officers, we're not going to be able to handle the problem. We need to enforce the laws. We need to go back to bail. We need to incarcerate people that need to be incarcerated. We've got to handle the gang problem. So we have No-Show Joe here that didn't come, who runs Clark County as the sheriff, and he doesn't want to work with ICE. He doesn't want to take care of the homeless issue. He doesn't want to do anything in relationship to what makes Las Vegas safe. We can't have people like that. So we got to vote in the right people, and we have to give our law enforcement more money. Where we get that from? Education. Because when you're 50th out of 50, you don't deserve all that money. Seriously. And that's where the money will come from. But we have to follow the law. We need to get DAs to prosecute. We need to get the people off the street. We need to identify the people who create crime that need mental health, then get them mental health. And we need to interdict with the gangs. They are the franchises for drugs. It is well known. There is a conduit from Mexico to Las Vegas to the drugs to gangs up in the north. And we have to be very aggressive and let our police, law enforcement, do what they need to do. Because the fentanyl and the oxycodone crisis that we have in this state all comes from the franchises of the gangs. And we can use the RICO laws, and we can do a lot of things, but we've got to be aggressive.
I hate to demote you, Mr. Lee, but Mr. Lee.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I'm going to just build on these wonderful things that you've just heard. Crime is rampant right now in Clark County. I will agree to that. When I became mayor, we have put now $10 million more a year into their budget. We've hired 200 more people to help us with crime. We opened up our jail. We were almost going bankrupt. Our jail closed. We moved everything over to the city of Las Vegas. I've got all that back open right now. Right now, at that time, I would tell you North Las Vegas is probably #1 in crime in the state of Nevada. Right now, we are #4. Clark County, Las Vegas, Joe Lombardo, as he was mentioning, North Las Vegas has less crime now than Reno and Sparks do. We are pushing our boot on their throat right now. The thing that I understand, and we don't allow in North Las Vegas if we can help it, is we stand up for our police officers. We don't do anything. If somebody's got a problem with a police officer, I stand in front of it first, make sure it's okay, and then I'll turn around and chew him out, you know? But this disrespecting we're allowing society, where you can drag a flag through Portland and out there in the city of Portland and the Black Lives Matter thing, when you see football players doing a knee, they're sending a message to people. When you see people not standing for the national anthem or putting their hands over their heart for the Pledge of Allegiance, those things are having a detriment to what we believe in this country, we stand for. I'll get back to the subject now. Last session, Joe Lombardo had his lobbyists that are police officers stand down on every single bill. That's why we got stuck with the no cash bail. We got stuck with all these stupid things because the sheriff of the largest county with the most officers had his people stand down so that he could get ready to run for this position of governor right now. We need to build the wall. We need to follow the good guidelines that these gentlemen said. I think we all agree that crime has got to stop, and it's going to take leaders like us to let people know we're done with it and we're going to put you in jail if you do it over and over.
Mr. Gilbert.
You know, I want to echo a couple of things my colleagues both said. Dr. Simon's right in one area when we talked about taking care of Nevadans. Mayor Lee's done a fantastic job in North Las Vegas, but the buck again stops with Sisolak. They're bussing them in to Clark County. They're busing folks in to Northern Nevada. This needs to stop. We can't take care of our own. We're #1 or 2 in unemployment, highest on inflation, have the highest inflation in the nation. Our schools are dead last in the nation. Our school system can't take any more. All right, that's the problem. So at the end of the day, we have to enforce our law. We will fund our police. We will fund our police and protect our officers and give them the tools they need to do their jobs. At the end of the day, as he said, these DAs brought in by Soros, AGs, all of them, get rid of these people. When this next vote comes up, it's time to clean house, folks. It's time to clean house and put real Nevadans and real Americans in power so we can do this state justice.
Dr. Simon?
We need to be thoughtful and comprehensive. You got to connect the dots. If you have lousy education, which we have, we put out people who will create more violence, don't get a job. If we have people who are unemployed, we need to do job retraining. If we have a border that's porous and we have a lot of illegals, we have more crime. If we're not utilizing trades to educate people, if we're not having a good school education, we put people out on the street that have nothing else to do but create crime. So it's not a single factor. We need immigration control, we need education, we need DAs, we need more money to the police. It's a multi-dimensional problem. And we can't think of it as simple, but it's very fixable. With proper resources, with proper leadership, we can decrease crime over a period of time.
Following up on that, in North Las Vegas, we had a good court system, and we realized that all we were doing is putting people into jail, and they were cycling back out. We put a whole new court in, a diversionary court, that says when you come in and you've got a drinking problem, then let's go to the diversionary court first. Let's just don't bang you up and put you in jail, and we feed you. Then you come out and you go have a beer because you're finally out of jail, you know? Let's work with you. Let's see if we can get you into AA. Same with drugs. Same with the veterans. Bless their hearts, the veterans have a lot of those issues. So what we've realized is that if we can work with you and make it easier on you to change your life, we will give you the benefits of not having to have the potential of being in our jail doing nothing. Come back and report back in. Let us know how can we help you. And we have had great success. Our residents are happy with it, and the people in the program are following through. It's been a great, great success for us in North Las Vegas.
If I have one last rebuttal, I just want to say, because Dr. Simon hit the nail on the head, I refer to him as Sanctuary High Crime Joe Lombardo. And, you know, October 1 shooting cover-up Joe Lombardo. We cannot put this guy in the governor's office. No matter what happens, just please listen to me, Nevada, and to me, Elko. Joe Lombardo is not the answer to Nevada's problems. A Southern Nevada guy is not the answer. So I want to just say congratulations to the gentlemen here tonight and for what they said, and I think we can all agree that High Crime Sanctuary Joe has got to go.
Mr. Simon, or Dr. Simon, did you want to add anything to that?
No, I think we've covered that pretty well.
Mr. Lee?
Amen.
Amen, John.
That's not bad for a doctor to have a little bit of faith, is it?
Okay, with Nevada ranking 50th in the nation on education, what steps will you take to bring back the basics of reading, writing, and arithmetic mastery, as well as school choice and vouchers, being that we, the parents and the taxpayers, fund the education system?
I'll take this first to give everybody a chance.
We're going to start with Dr. Simon.
I misunderstood. Okay, Fred.
So we have to look at this problem, and it's existed for decades. We just don't look at our basic school system, look at the universities. Incredibly liberal. So who goes to the universities? Our teachers. So we have many teachers that have been indoctrinated. This is what we see in our schools. There is education and there's indoctrination. They spend way more time trying to indoctrinate our children, giving them the answers, their answers, instead of having the children learn the right answers. We got to get back to reading, arithmetic, all the basics with civics. They need to know about their country. In addition to that, we need trades to come back at middle school. We need to get all the smut and ideology out of education. I don't ever want to see an LGBTQ, transgender flag in any classroom in Nevada. That has nothing to do with education. Critical race theory started out as a legal document, which is filtered down to teachers who don't even understand what they're teaching. There is no necessity for any of this teaching. Ethics and morals come from the parents. So what we have to also deal with is we need parents and grandparents involved. We have to listen to our children who are exceptionally smarter than we think they are. What do they want? But education has to be driven by parents, and the money needs to follow the children, and we need school choice, school choice, school choice.
Mr. Lee?
Thank you very much. We have a lot of experience in education in North Las Vegas. When the COVID first hit, for the first 2 months, no one knew what was going on with it. But what had happened eventually is we saw the shutdowns that the governor did, and we realized we were causing a lot of danger to our community. There's a thing called the social contract. Says if you get money from a government, they give you back services for that money. We were finding out in North Las Vegas that we had firefighters, police officers, essential people that had to come to work every day. A lot of people worked at home on the computers, which worked out well for us. But because they had children at home, 2 days the firefighter would stay home while his wife went to work. Then she went to work the next 2, or he went to work the next 2 days and she stayed home. Friday, sometimes maybe they both had to go to work. We were leaving children at home of firefighters, police officers, essential workers, all by themselves, saying, honey, you're 12 years old, you can watch your little sister, we'll be back in 8 hours. Here's some food in the refrigerator. We started our own school, Southern Nevada Urban Micro Academy. Our senior centers were broken. Were shut off. Our libraries were shut down. We built a school in there. We brought in a whole company in there. We paid a ton of money for it. They got teachers to teach them. They got computers. They went to school every day. We tested each one of those employees, students, and some, well, you're good in math. You're in the 5th grade level, but you're only in the 4th grade. Way to go, but your reading is low. And we figured out where they were. We put them in the right classes, and those averages went way up for these children, what was happening. We have more parochial schools, more private schools, and more charter schools in North Las Vegas than anywhere else. And the reason we do is we have a lot of land there. We're able to find these people and bring them. Our parents in North Las Vegas want education for their families and their children. I'm telling you right now, there is a huge opportunity to turn a lot of these schools that we have into charter schools that are already built by the Clark County School District, and that's what I'm going to try to push. Thank you.
Mr. Gilbert.
You know, at the end of the day, the simple solution here is education vouchers. Vouchers, 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 vouchers. And I know Dr. Simon also feels the same way. I've heard him talk about it. And the school and the money follows the children. And for the homeschoolers in here, that does not mean the government's going to get in your business. We want vouchers because at the end of the day, it's not just that CRT has no place in our schools, transgender flags don't belong there. I agree with all that. That stuff's out on day one, and we can't just go there. We have to prohibit it and ban it from coming back. But that's not it. That's scratching the surface. What we need to do is get rid of stuff like the restorative discipline programs, which allow kids to violently assault teachers, all right, sell drugs on campus, bring weapons, and they get in no trouble. Another thing is credit recovery, which means you don't have to show up to school, you don't have to do your work, you don't have to pass your test. But at the end of the semester, you get 3 to 5 hours of extra credit work, then you get a C, and you get passed. That stuff has to end. Another thing would be with regards to drug testing. 40% of the schools do it. Why aren't we doing it? You know, absenteeism. We have kids, if they're not showing up to class, and if they're showing up under the influence, how are they going to learn? So at the end of the day, accountability. We need it. Again, parents need to be held accountable, teachers need to be held accountable, and school boards need to be held accountable. But most importantly, how I think you fix this is the schools, the public schools, have no incentive to improve. If they have to compete for the kids, like in anything else, and these education vouchers, $6,000, $10,000 goes out per kid, per student, let parents make the decisions. Put them back in charge, and watch how quickly we change this thing, and we turn this ship around. Thank you.
Mr. Lee, I saw your hand first. Go
Okay,
ahead.
I appreciate that. Let me give you an idea what's happening in Clark County right now. There are students, since we've started school back, that have not had an English teacher and not had a math teacher. There are not enough teachers. The teachers are not coming to work. There's not enough substitutes. We have hall monitors that are now going into those classes, watching those students, making sure they just don't act up. They're teaching them nothing. They're just sitting there watching those students. Because there's no hall monitors now, they're becoming pseudo teachers. They're having fights out in the courtyards. And so the thing about that is if you don't care about the students and they don't care about the school and they tear the bathrooms up like that TikTok thing that was happening. Our coaches, there would be 4 coaches, and 3 of them are going into classrooms while one coach watches in the gymnasium the little pods of students that are each class sitting there. We are losing our future. The 21st century jobs are going by us in Clark County. We have got to get a governor who will do the things that I think these gentlemen will try to do along with me when I get there.
Dr. Simon?
Every issue has a history. Every issue you find the trends. Every issue you have to dissect. Then you put the solutions. There is nothing in the Constitution that has government permissible in healthcare and education. Nothing. Government needs to get out of education. Second of all, 1920s, when education came over to this country from Germany, it had Marxism in it to begin with. 1958, sexual aggressive education. And that's what's happened. We have to intervene. These are our children, our grandchildren, and this is the foundation of our country. But we have to aggressively dissect what has gone on in the education realm over the decades. And we can reverse it. But if we don't understand what has happened, if we don't understand the influence of these evil Marxist and sexual people, we'll never fix it.
Just had a brief comment on our school boards, and you know what's truly amazing is that we do have the power and the authority to do this at the local level. And you know, when we don't have school board members or trustees doing their jobs, it's not just to sit back. There are so many qualified folks, so many qualified parents in this audience that would be fantastic.
And so the way we solve this, as General Flynn says, is local involvement, national impact. We got to get involved locally, parents. It's time to take back our schools. That no one's coming to save us. There's no other plan. It's us. This is up to us. This is our children. This is our future. Get involved. There's many of you sitting in this audience that would do a fantastic job as a school trustee. Get in there. And the most importantly, stop reelecting these people. These people that don't belong in there, if they censored the truth, peddled the fear, played the game, or mandated anything against our children, get them out. Get them out. Thank you.
Most of the decisions made in the legislature during this last session were either decided down party lines or pushed through in the middle of the night. Other than repairing the damage done, how will you bridge the gap between the parties to ensure that you can put Nevada on a path that legislators' decisions are made for the right reasons, which is what's best for Nevada, instead of voting simply down party lines to ensure rural Nevada gets fair representation? Mr. Lee?
Thank you very much. This is exactly the experience that I bring to this organization concerning the legislature. 14 years in state legislature, I saw it firsthand. I can tell you when we have good leaderships in the local, in the legislature, things work completely different. If you don't have a governor who's not playing the R against the D and the D against the R and causing this acrimony, and if you have a governor who says, we're all Nevadans, put it away right now, we're going to go to work for our communities. We are going to work and pass things in the next 120 days that make Nevada a great place. We are at the bottom now. All we can do is go up. We need a Nevada first governor who will be able to go over there and talk to Republicans, talk to the Democrats, and threaten them that if you bring that stuff to me, I'm going to veto it. Don't waste your time on that. Nobody in your district wants that. We're going to work on these issues here. This is an emergency. Nevada's going to go under if we keep this situation moving in this direction. I think that as the state senator that I was able to do that. I worked very, very well with all the Republicans. I worked very, very well with all the Democrats. We passed more legislation in my committee, the Senate Government Affairs Committee, than any other committee. People from the Assembly would want, the Republicans from the Assembly would be getting destroyed over in on the Assembly side. They would do anything they could to get those bills into my committee so that they would have a hearing. So many of these chairmen refuse to hear the other party's bills and kill great ideas that are able to come. So I'm just telling you right now, I have the experience, I understand how to do it, I understand the forces, and I know what they're going to want at the end of the session. I know the dirty way they play the game, and you can stop it up front if you know the dirty game. I promise you, as your governor, there will be, without a doubt, they'll know exactly where I stand, and they won't be able to push me around. And I will make Nevada work for all of us. And we are Nevadans before we're Republicans and Democrats, and we're in that legislature, and that's the way it should be.
Mr. Gilbert?
It's very simply, ladies and gentlemen, we need moral courage, right? You need the moral courage and a backbone to stand up to these people. I wish what Mayor Lee said was true, but these Democrats have lost their minds. All right, they have gone, you know what, Ronald Reagan said it, that he didn't leave the Democrat Party left him. And right now, I wish it was as simple as, none of us are so far right up here. It's that these guys are way over here, all right? And I'm not gonna negotiate with, domestic terrorists, all right? No way. I'm gonna do what Trump did. I'm gonna sign that veto and hold it up and show it to him and say, get back to work, all right? You gotta be willing to stand up for the people. And as I said, I am accountable to we the people, to you. That's the only reason I'm in this thing. And believe me, there's a lot of us in this room that have a lot better to do, especially here on a Friday night. But we're here because we care about these United States and about Nevada. Most importantly for me, I care about our children. And some of the issues I will not compromise on are these most important issues. And so I will veto every piece of legislation that they want until they start working with us. Every single one. I will tell them to not even waste their time bringing it up to me because it's going to get vetoed so fast their head will spin, and that's what needs to happen. Someone who's not beholden to these special interests. Someone who's not beholden to these guys that put them in office. You know who's going to put me in office? You guys. You guys, the small $75 and $100 donations. That's who's going to contribute and has been contributing to my campaign because this is a campaign of we the people. And so how I reign in that legislature is very simple. I'm not going to lose an ounce of sleep, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to veto it,
and I'm going to tell them to get back to work, and we can either work together for the best of Nevadans, or they can go sell their stuff somewhere else, because it ain't going to fly with me. Thank you.
Dr. Simon?
So first and foremost, you've heard me say this a couple of times over the last hour. It comes to the ballot box. Neither one of these gentlemen can veto anything if they have a supermajority, which they do now. It does come to the local level. We need to fix our school boards. We need to get the legislature back. If we don't have the legislature we're a minority. If it's a super minority, you get nothing done. So when we look at this from that standpoint, we have to have a red wave in 22. But in addition to that, you need somebody who can be collaborative, and John Lee has been. I wish he would have stayed a Democrat. He was a Democrat for 27 years. In April 6, 2021, he became a Republican, and if he would have stayed in the legislature and worked with the Democrats, he could have switched their party maybe a little bit. It's not that simple. You need people who collaborate. But we have Democrats in our legislature who are ideologists. So you need to significantly push back on them. And a governor is going to need the bully pulpit to get out there in the media and shame those legislators who are doing the wrong things so that their community sees what they're doing and expose them. Because the citizens don't pay enough attention to what goes on in Carson City. So somebody has to show what they're doing. But it's at the ballot box. And once we get more people in the legislature, then you use the mighty gavel as much as you can, and you veto them, and you don't let them bring in a budget bill, and you let them have their 160,000 employees sitting out there unpaid. You have to intimidate or be intimidated. But the Democrats have been intimidating us a long time with no fight back.
Mr. Gilbert?
Again, ladies and gentlemen, a red wave is coming, the likes of which they've never seen. And, you know, we are the majority. Remember that. This nonsense that's going on, we are the majority. All right? The news media, the censorship, what have they tried to do? You know, actually censoring Ivy League, doctors and the experts across this world. This has been insane. These guys aren't playing fair. And so all I would say is, as we said earlier, register Republican, get there, and even with their redistricting nonsense, they're not going to get a supermajority. That will not happen. But get to that ballot box, talk to everybody you know. And I'll say this about John Lee. I've spent the last year and a half listening to people, being around folks. This man is a tougher fighter and someone that is quality because he understands how this system works. So I'll just say this. There's a lot of Republicans in name only. That means nothing. Actions speak louder than words. It's time to take it to these guys.
I appreciate that, Joey, for following my career like that, and I really mean it. Let me give you an idea here real quick. First off, what happened last session, what caused a lot of heck for guys, Republicans in their own caucus can't even get along with each other. There's so many different ideologues that take place within their own caucus. The governor needs to pull all those guys in and say, stop, here's what my agenda is. I'll help you get your bills passed. But you start screwing up on the values of the Republican Party's trying to impress right now, you'll get nothing out of this place. Now, interestingly, why would a guy be a Democrat from Southern Nevada? Because Bill Raggio was in the Senate. We had to fight that guy to get all our money down south that we could because Bill would keep it all up north. He didn't give it to the rurals either. He kept it all up there for Reno. So I was never a Democrat I was a Democrat in name only to fight for my community like I would expect your legislators to fight for you. Ronald Reagan, Democrat. Donald Trump, Democrat. Randolph Townsend, my friend, Senator Reno, Democrat. Barbara Vukanovich was a Democrat. There comes a time when you have to stand and get away from the real ideologue and fight for your state, and it was finally time when we became socialists in this state and the Democratic Party for me.
Dr. Simon?
So I think Mr. Lee brings up a very good point. We have problems within our own caucus of Republicans. We haven't stood together. Here in Elko, you have a very strong Republican Party. Throughout the state, in my journeys over the last several months, we have so much infighting in the Republican Party. That needs to stop. We need to see leadership. Leadership is collaborative, understanding issues, and we need to get our party in line, get people to understand that it's only constitutional conservatives that are going to save this state and save this country from Marxists and tyranny, and we better get along.
Thank you, candidates. We appreciate all of the time that you've spent with us tonight. At this point, we've already gone over our time, so I would like to offer you one speed round of questions, or we can wrap it up, however you would like to proceed.
I'd wrap it up and have a final closing statement if these gentlemen agree. Are you okay?
I came here to answer anybody's question, and I will do what anybody wants to do.
If we do a speed round, you will still get your time to wrap up.
Oh, I didn't want to miss that then. Okay, so I'm ready.
Would you like to do the speed round, or would you like to wrap up? This will be a 1-minute round with no rebuttals, and then we will follow with our closing statements.
Okay.
And the closing of the evening. Do you want to go, Robert?
Why do you feel that Steve Sisolak should be replaced?
We'll start with Mr. Gilbert.
Oh, man. I only got a minute, guys. I could be up here for 2 hours. This guy is the single biggest disaster that's ever hit this state. Anybody who's been on my Facebook Lives, it's hashtag WGE. What does that stand for? Thank you. So this guy has destroyed this state. The lockdowns were never necessary. The business closures were never necessary. The distance learning was never necessary. But I'll tell you this much. Banning early treatment medication, that's where he crossed the line for me and my father. So I'll just say this, Steve Sisolak, what he's done, and most importantly, our voting process. In the middle of the night, in the middle of July, he changed to these mail-in ballots, and we all know what happened. 6 swing states suddenly had to stop counting on the night of the election, and what happened? So Steve Sisolak needs to go because he's a criminal. He's a criminal, and what he's actually caused the death of Nevadans by his absolute incompetence, and that's why he has to go, and go quickly.
I'm sure you're all itching to answer that question, so we'll give it to you, Dr. Simon.
I think we're going to pretty much all answer the same. He is a criminal. He practiced medicine without a license. It's a felony in this state. He broke that law. And people died. Okay? He needs to be indicted for manslaughter. Okay? If you have a drunk driver who hits somebody, they get manslaughter. He ruined businesses. Democrats, independents, Republicans. He devastated small business. And what they also did, is he gave favor to big business, the big boxes. How do I know? I've got a little restaurant, but I was the only restaurant open in this state against civil disobedience for a weekend. So fundamentally, this is a guy who doesn't care about Nevadans, doesn't care about human beings. He's evil, and that's the reason he needs to go. John.
Thank you very much. I knew this man before you knew this man, and I couldn't stand him when he was a county commissioner. What's exciting about it, he finally begged enough people to let him be in charge and gave them stuff that they wanted. He finally got to be in charge and then did nothing, just ruled with an iron fist. When he wanted to run for governor, he would tell people, well, I don't think I'm going to put that on the agenda. And then they would go out the door going, oh, man, I can't get anything on the county. And then somebody would whisper to him, you know he's running for governor. I'll bet you if you gave him $5,000 bonus, $5,000, I bet he'd put that on the agenda. Bam, it was on the agenda. When he was university regent, none of the regents allowed him to be the chairman because he was so evil, just such a bad person. He just got ahead of everybody else, raised a bunch of money, and got this position. He's a one-termer that we will live through, and we will build Nevada back in. We go 10 more years with this guy. We go one more term with this guy, we lose 10 years of Nevada growth. So I appreciate that question. That was a good 1-minute round.
Should there be restrictions on the Second Amendment? If so, what?
We'll start with Dr. Simon.
What was that question again so I can write notes?
Should there be restrictions on the Second Amendment?
Okay,
if so, what?
And we'll start with Dr. Simon.
No. Zero. We don't even need the regulations we have. This state, show me where somebody with concealed carry caused any problems. So I will simply tell you, out of the 115 massacres, 35 out of the 38 people who actually shot were schizophrenics or bipolar untreated. We have a mental illness problem. It's not a gun problem. So from that standpoint, I don't think we should have to even register our guns. I think we have the right as Nevadans to have guns. But the other thing we need to realize is we're protected not only by the Second Amendment, but the 10th Amendment. And the other thing we have to do is pay attention to ammo. We need to bring ammo companies to Nevada because they know we have plenty of guns. They're taking away our ammo, so we have to be very aware of that.
Mr. Lee.
Thank you very much. No restrictions. I do believe people who have psychological problems and things like that that have shown that they shouldn't be able to buy a gun probably shouldn't get a gun. I do not believe in the red flag issue that's taking place as affecting so many people. I believe that your ability to protect yourself is valuable. When I was in the legislature, I passed about 5 or 6 gun bills, but the one I missed was that young lady, Miss Breonna Collins, I think Amanda Collins, who got raped at UNR. She was near the police station there. She should have had the right to carry her gun on campus. At nighttime, when you go out and the ladies can't go out to their car until a security guard takes them out there, or they make the trek by themselves to the dark parking lot, she was grabbed, she was raped. I believe because she had a CCW, she should have been allowed to have that on campus and protected herself from that horrible situation.
Mr. Gilbert.
Samuel Adams said it best. The Constitution should never be construed as to prevent peaceable citizens from keeping and bearing their own arms. Period. That's it. Nothing else. And the next thing is constitutional carry. Enough with this concealed weapons nonsense. Constitutional carry is coming to Nevada. All right? Anytime there's been a mass shooting, what stopped it? Good guy with a gun. Now, we trust Americans. All right? And those of us that do weapons training, that do train with firearms, we are the protectors. I've been concealed carry for a decade or more. And so at the end of the day, no law should be made. Forget red flag laws. As Dr. Simon said, all of them need to be gone. All right? I don't agree with that. Because there's too many games. As we just learned with these shutdowns, you let the government in for a week or 2 weeks, you're going to take the gun for 2 weeks? Nuh-uh. Get away from our guns.
This question will start with Lee. Mr. Lee, I apologize. How do you feel about the redistricting, better known as gerrymandering, done recently under the current governorship, and what will you do about it?
I went through that process before, and really the majority party gets to do the redistricting. And the first thing they do is try to do it in such a way that they can gerrymander it without getting in trouble. They make sure they don't, if there's a Hispanic community, they don't cut that one off. But they can cut and move people out of the system. I believe if you want to have a fair system, you should have a group of people come together and do it what's best for the state of Nevada so everybody gets represented, and you have a chance to get reelected or you don't based upon what common citizens did to make sure we split that population base up fairly. I would not want it to redistrict. I would want it to go to a special commission.
Mr. Gilbert?
Again, to Mr. Lee's credit, because he has a lot more experience in these areas than some of us, but if we were dealing with normal people and with people that were willing to come to the table and be fair, it'd be one thing. But as I said before, the Democrats have lost their minds. It's all about power and control right now. They don't care. They just want to shove it down your throats, whatever it is. It's their way or the highway. So the answer to the redistricting is to fix our broken election system, and it is broken. All right? It's broken. Our votes don't count. You fix the elections, you fix everything. Decertify these machines, go back to paper ballots, voter ID, signature validation. And the next thing is this, precinct captains. We need precinct captains. We need strong central committees. We need people out there canvassing, all right? This is what has to happen. This is what must happen in this state to win it back. Otherwise, if we don't clean up these voter rolls, enforce voter ID, but what can we do right now? Decertify these machines, bring back paper ballots, then we'll hit the redistricting.
Dr. Simon.
I completely agree with Mr. Gilbert on election fraud, but the question's about redistricting, and both the Republicans and the Democrats do it. And I actually agree strongly with Mayor Lee. It needs to be an independent group because the Democrats have taken it to a far radical process, but Republicans have done it across the country as well. So why do we have politicians drawing the lines when we can have experts who know how to do this, look at the population base? We may have somebody from the Republican Party, the Democratic Party, and independents, but politicians should not be doing the redistricting.
The reason our Constitution has been and is so valuable is the men who wrote it did so with a biblical worldview. All normal talking points aside, as a conservative, what is it you personally are trying to conserve?
Joey?
Yeah, as I started out this, discussion, debate tonight, ladies and gentlemen, it's the government, restraining our government. What have we conserved? What have I conserved? I spent the last 22 months fighting this guy to get him, like I said, to get the masks off our children. I filed a lawsuit to get the masks off our kids. I filed a lawsuit to get early treatment medication made available. I filed a lawsuit to open our churches, and we won at the 9th Circuit. We opened all Nevada churches 10 days before Christmas in 2020. So as a conservative, what does that mean to me? It means getting the government out of our business, getting the government out of our local communities. This is a community here in Elko where you guys can take care of yourselves at the local level. So as a conservative, what I would want to do is restore the power to the people. And as I said before, prevent any future governor from coming in and doing what this guy has done. The people in this country retain the power, and that's how it should be. Restrain the government.
Dr. Simon?
First and foremost, the administrations in this country presently are godless. We have to have our faith first. God leads us, especially constitutional conservatives. I'm a faith-based constitutional conservative. I don't believe a whole lot in using lawsuits. I mean, the mask lawsuit lost in Las Vegas, and those two ladies now have to make up $57,503. There are consequences to lawsuits. I think what we need to do as conservatives is push it at the ballot box, remember that God leads us, follow our values and our principles, teach it to our children, talk to our neighbors, and when we start pushing that type of agenda, we love each other. We're bonded. We work better together, and we'll make America better through God.
Mr. Lee?
Thank you very much. I agree, and I'm going to add a little bit more. As a mayor, I believe in a smaller government. My first year, I fired all the directors, the police chief, the fire chief, city attorney, city manager, and we built a new business, a new company that brought respect back to our community, and I appreciate a smaller government. We didn't raise any taxes. We didn't raise any fees. Our bond rating was F in all three rating agencies. We brought it back to AAA. This is a big state. We can run this state very easily, because as it is a big state, it's only 3 million people. That's as big as Orange County. This is not a big business here that we're running here in the state government. We need to make sure that we do the things that allow people to feel the freedom of their state, to be able to increase their business, to do the things they want, have the freedoms they want, keep government out of their lives. I'm very excited to say that conservative issues in this room today have made me very proud of you, and I thank you so much.
Okay, as we move to our last question of the evening, we do hope to see you guys back closer to election time, and hopefully some of your opponents see the importance of Elko County and rural Nevada as a whole once we get closer to election. So my question is, what does home means Nevada mean to you?
We'll start with Dr. Simon.
Nevada is home means quality people that when I see them, I know that there's friendliness. They care. They work hard. They care about the environment. They care about their neighbors. They care about their state. It's very fascinating to live in a state where you can go from Elko down to Mesquite to even parts of Las Vegas, where true Nevadans, especially conservative Nevadans, love the state based upon living here for all the wondrous things, from the mountains to the desert parts to our entertainment, to pride of our mining and being 5% of the gold and silver of this country. There's so many different aspects of Nevada that no other states have.
I'll go next.
Mr. Lee?
Home Means Nevada, what a special song that is. To me, Home Means Nevada is a place that you can go and you can go out and stretch and ride your bike. You can go out to the park. You can go golf. The weather's great here. But basically, it's the patriots that make Nevada great. There are a lot of people come in and come out of the state, in and out. But if you look at a Nevadan who's been here 20 years, those people are core value people that we love. We protect our assets in the state. We're very concerned about, I was the chairman of the Lake Tahoe Oversight Committee. We broke away from the California side and we started doing things to make Lake Tahoe work better for the businesses on that side. I believe service is very important. I think our religious people, I think there's more people that probably pray in Nevada than pray in any other state. We pray for rain, we pray for good food, we pray for jobs, we pray for great things to happen to our children. I believe that Nevada, anyone can move here, start again, get on path with a new business or a new job, put whatever happened behind you, and start building a community with us. You can become a new person in Nevada and follow our value system.
Mr. Gilbert?
Home means Nevada to me, and I think about that. I think about dirt biking with my daughter, hunting with my father, being on our beautiful lakes and mountains. We've got, things here that no one else has got. I've got friends that come out from Chicago. They can't believe what they see. These Ruby Mountains, the Sierras, even down in Red Rock in Vegas. We truly have one of the most beautiful states in the country and the ability to do what we want, when we want. Be out in these hills, like I said, hunting, fishing, enjoying the most prestigious and amazing lands you've ever seen. And that's something for me that I will always cherish and why I choose to live here. I could live anywhere, but I live in northern Nevada for a reason. I love this place. I love this state. I love this country. And I love the freedoms that we all get to share together. And anybody that knows me knows that being outside and being in a part of our wilderness, being out in our nature, there's nothing greater for me than that. So I love, Home Means Nevada to me is about our mountains and our streams and our lakes and everything else.
We're going to wrap up, and we'll start doing that by giving you guys the opportunity to present your closing statements. I believe we opened with Dr. Simon, so we can start closing with Dr. Simon.
First of all, I want to thank all the people who came here. And you're participating in the democratic process. You have a very important job at hand, voting and electing the right people to run this state. I present to you my history. I've been involved in medicine, multiple businesses, medical legal expert. I've actually filed 900 affidavits, lawsuits in medical legal, and I've won 98% of them. The attorneys depend upon me having good judgment and expertise. I've been in media with an ESPN radio show, real estate commercial. When you're choosing a governor, I think you need to look very hard and long. I have a multidisciplinary life experience, and I'm uniquely qualified to be an executive of the state of Nevada. And I appreciate all the words that we have heard from the two candidates who decided to show up. And those who didn't, I think you need to look at why they didn't. But I certainly appreciate this opportunity to talk to you, the people of Elko, and I'll be back.
Thank you, Dr. Simon. Mr. Lee?
Thank you very much. So today is the start of a new tour. Every band has a tour, you know, and their rock and roll band, they call it the tour of this. I'm on the Leave Me Alone tour, L-E-E-V-E tour. When I come to Elko, I want you to know the state government is not going to come after you. We're going to leave you alone. Now, when your mayor comes, when your county commissioner comes, they say, we got a problem with NDOT, we got a problem with NDOW, we got a problem with the mining people. We're going to work on those issues. But I'm not going to come as your governor and figure out how can I mess you around? How can I hurt you? How can I take something from you and give it to another part of the state? I want you to be very, very happy to know that your governor respects you, trusts you, and he wants to help you. So on this Leave Me Alone tour, I promise you, your mayor will have my phone number. Your county commissioner will have my phone number. If you can't get NDOT to do something, or any of the other agencies, we will work for that, because I can fix Nevada. We can fix Nevada. And we're very proud of the opportunity to take this next 4 years away from a man who refuses to fix Nevada. You know, the Clark County, I'll finish on this. One of the county commissioners from Washoe was at the state capitol the other day working on an issue. The governor walked by, looked at him, and just kept on walking like, I don't have time for you, you're not important to me. Washoe County is not important to you? I promise you, this governor will be your ally and your best friend. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Mr. Gilbert?
Elko, thank you so much for this opportunity to come up and talk to you. I think that being transparent and showing you guys that we care enough about you to come up here is everything. I don't take this opportunity lightly. I spent the last 2 years, working every day to understand things. I've got the county commissioner's numbers, got the mayor's numbers. I've been working with 8 counties to get rid of the COVID restrictions. I had the pleasure of watching 3 counties become constitutional counties. And by the way, Sheriff Joe doesn't support that. So you might want to rethink him. All I got to say is this: it's time for a fresh face. It's time for fresh energy. It's time for someone that's got charisma, who's got a work ethic that's unparalleled, doesn't know how to quit, won't quit, and will fight every single day for you, your families, and most importantly, your precious children. I don't take what's happened in this state lightly, and someone needs to pay for it. And we need someone that's going to get up and fight every day to put things back in place. And I'm going to use all the people that say Joey Gilbert doesn't have life experience, doesn't have this. Let me tell you something. Henry Ford said you don't have to be the smartest guy in the room, you can hire him. I'm very good at that. I will have the smartest businesswomen and businessmen in this state working with me. Board of experts, you name it. I will get the job done because I care that much. It's an honor to be here. I will be here more. But remember this, guys. These people that didn't show up, they don't deserve it. Thank you.
We want to thank all of the people that made this possible tonight. Our candidates, thank you so much for being here. I don't think anybody truly expected this to be as awesome as it was, but I think I can speak for all of us when I say this was above all of our expectations. To our candidates, we say thank you for coming, and best wishes to all of you in the primary. To the chief, the sheriff, the mayor, and Bishop Gerber for your contributions and support. To Kim Longley and her staff at this beautiful convention center, to all of our moderators who spent many hours volunteering their time to prepare their excellent questions, to Danny and Pedro with Battleborn Media Networks for providing the live streaming tonight and co-promoting the event, to the Gilbert for Governor campaign for sponsoring this debate and bringing a historical and important event to Elko, and to all the rural counties. And to this audience, for caring enough to be here tonight and for standing up for what you believe is right. I cannot give you enough appreciation. And now we will cut you loose to go talk to your candidates, ask them whatever questions you want. To all of you viewing on live stream, this is Elko, Nevada signing off and inviting you to visit. Just don't stay long.
Don't you dare go running down my little town where I grew up, and I won't cut.
All right, guys. Battleborn Media Network signing off. Thank you to our buddy Merck, Jamie for helping out on the back, producing with video and sound, Danny, all our moderators. Battleborn Media Networks, thank you to everyone for watching.